Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review, this time featuring Viktor, Arcane, League of Legends, pushing Nautilus back yet another week. This should be an interesting game, one because my teammates were flaming me in the chat before the game even started, so I'm sure I am playing with very sane and very nice individuals, but also because it's going to be a bit of a controversial video, just like with Skarner so many months ago. We're going to be talking about Viktor today, but we're going to be talking specifically about this version, the old version of Viktor, because he's going away, sort of like a last memento for the old robot man. And at the end of the year, season 2025, I'll talk about the new one, and maybe if I have the time, I'll do a dedicated Viktor VGU video like with Skarner, but who knows, I still have my thesis to do. You know what I'd much rather partake in than my thesis fan art section? Look at, oh my god, there's so many. The Viktor, the machine man, there's even... if I had a nickel for every time someone depicted Viktor gloriously evolving Cass into my redesign, I'd have 2 nickels, which is quite a lot in this instance. Thank you, Phil. It's also amazing on such short notice, too, because originally it was supposed to be Nautilus this week, and then the Viktor VGU happened, so... absolutely amazing, fantastic, wonderful. Thank you, fellas, so much. All right, so Viktor does have a lot of lore. We're going to be talking about the old version, but there is a lot of it, considering how kind of a forgotten character he was for the longest time and how much Riot kind of flip-flopped Silas players, how much he flip-flopped between being a good guy and a bad guy. In summary, his lore, he's still kind of similar to the Arcane version in that he was... God damn it, Silas players. He was still a bright young mind in Zaun, a workaholic at that, who grew increasingly angry at being taken away from his work, and most of that time was because of the toxic fumes and chemical spills in Zaun. He thought, well, I gotta do something about this, I want to get back to studying, so he developed inventions to help reduce workplace hazards, and while he was turned away by most people, one ChemForge worker did say, hey, I'd like your services, and he helped to reduce the violence and the workplace hazards of that ChemForge to almost zero, and so other people went to go seek his aid. Like, oh, you've been really helpful, Viktor. You've been very helpful, Viktor. So much so that he was offered a place in the Zaunite Academy, but he was also offered a prestigious place at the Piltover Academy by Stanwyck Padidley, who has now been retconned to be dead. He's one of the founding fathers of Piltover. Now I think, oh, that didn't take very long at all. That took like 1 minute and they've already lost their marbles. And Stanwyck Padidley convinced him to join the Piltover Academy because he'd have access to all of the most prestigious and advanced labs and equipment that the city has to offer. Viktor said, hell yeah. He took the offer and started working alongside many other bright scientists, one of them being Jace. This is just going to be a constant thing all game, isn't it? Just like this guy. This guy's going to be a constant thing all game, I think. Oh my god, what the hell? I'm just trying to talk about Viktor Arcane, and there's 4 people in my lane. Jace and Viktor weren't really friends. In fact, it says in the bio, they never truly became friends, which is very different from the Arcane interpretation. They were more like workplace rivals that had a mutual respect for one another and their own methods. Viktor was a lot more calm and collected, and methodical approach to study, while Jace was very flamboyant and arrogant and worked off a lot of human emotion. Eventually, Viktor heard of a chem spill in Zaun and returned there to go help the people in need, and ended up finding the broken steam golem Blitzcrank and repaired it to become a helper in Zaun. Am I gonna get blamed for this one too? Probably. Yep, by fault. Even after making Blitzcrank and helping the people with the chem spill, he decided to stay in Zaun for a little bit longer. But then when he eventually did return to Piltover, he found out that Stanwyck Padidley, his old professor, had stolen the designs for Blitzcrank and his work and took complete credit for it. And Viktor's like, what the hell? That's my work. Blitzcrank was my invention, and decides, okay, well, I need to go and try and stop these people. And unfortunately, he was denied by Stanwyck Padidley, by the entire board of the academy, and also by Jace, surprising nobody. Shut up. And they weren't even friends, so what do you think he was going to help him? I don't know. His ego was damaged, but he still pressed forward, thinking that human nature... They're going to report me now. Oh my god. Viktor realized that human nature and emotion was clouding the judgment. This is a very good parallel to what's happening this game, I think. Maybe I'm going to become a Viktor fanatic after this game. Emotion clouds your judgment set. You do not take the methodical approach. All you do is flame and spam ping. You get nothing accomplished. Caitlyn, you're an ADC player. Your vote is immediately invalidated. I knew you'd cry like a little bitch. I did not expect our top laner and our jungler to do the same. This is probably the worst Slavic accent ever. Viktor was kind of pushed towards this idea that human nature was getting in the way of progress, just like the last time. Machinery could be used to replace it, and so reluctant, as he was still continuing his studies, I can't get 2 seconds apiece without a Simon on my ass. Yippee. Reluctantly, he was assigned a collaborative process with Jace to design new diving suits to help the people clean out the chemical waste on the shores of Piltover. And they did work exceptionally. They were able to dive deeper, stay down longer, and lift more. However, the people in the suits suffered hallucinations while they were down there, and Viktor thought, well, that's not the suit's fault. That's human innate fear coming to the surface. I can fix that if we just get a person on the surface to be able to take over their brains momentarily. That way they can control the person inside the suit, and there's no problem. And Jace is like, what? They do note in the bio that says they would often kill each other when experiencing these hallucinations. Like, what do you mean often? How many times did this happen? And Jace argues, well, you can't take away people's free will. And Viktor's, nuh-uh, it will help efficiency. And so Jace reports him to the academy, and Viktor is expelled as a result. Expelled from the academy, he would return to Zaun and fall into a deep depression. He only wanted to help people. He wanted to make people's lives better. But yet again, human nature and emotion had stood in his way. In fact, his own human emotion and nature had stood in his way. And he thought, well, if people won't accept change, then I'll change it for them. And so he operated and augmented himself to remove his own humanity. And do note in the bio it says he replaced the majority of his anatomy with metal. Consume. Why does he say consume? What are you consuming? Lightning? Oh, because robots. They need the charge. A charge. So this motive to better humanity had now transcended into this new idea, the glorious evolution, to replace flesh and fatal human errors, free them from their suffering by replacing it with superior hex tech augmentations and metal.
I'll make good use of this.
Will you? Is this good use of it? Not really. Oh, Viktor used these advancements to try and help the people of Zaun, improving efficiency, removing emotion, yada yada. It came with heavy consequence because, you know, most of the people who would remove their brains probably weren't the same person anymore. Oh, I bet everyone dying to that Azrael ult is also my fault. Yep, my fault. I want to get to the next point because it talks about toxic events, but still, people just kind of grew to see him as a bit of a messiah figure. And much like how I feel about this Caitlyn, Viktor did not care either. He saw this pseudo-religious cult as yet another part of human nature that needed to be eliminated. But then, as I was talking, the other toxic event happened, and it turned a whole bunch of Zaunites, hundreds of them, into rabid psychotics. And so Viktor attempted to save them, opening up their heads to forcibly expose their brains to try and filter their blood and their brain of the toxic chemicals. But he knew they were rapidly deteriorating and his current tech couldn't save them. So he busted into Jace's lab, demanding to hand over the elusive hex tech crystal that he had in his possession, which, you know, hex tech crystals, at least when Viktor's lore was still as it is right now, were still part of the Brackern that has yet to be retconned. We still don't know what hex tech crystals are. And because Jace obviously won't hand it over, he decides to take it by force. Returning to his lab, he used the hex crystal to make great machinations to hopefully try and cure the people of the toxins, but in case they didn't survive, he made giant steam golem bodies for them to inhabit. But Jace didn't take to this so kindly, smashing through the building and destroying the hex crystal, and at the same time, kind of tearing down the entire building. Daisy, stop it. Ooh. Got him. Ambessa Medarda? Wait, we're friends. No! Because of the attack, the warehouse was destroyed, resulting in the death of all the people that were there. Viktor, while he managed to escape, this only confirmed to him yet again that human emotion had clouded the judgment of the betterment of humanity. Jace, in a moment of logical reason, had failed because of his emotion overpowering his own mind. And so he's now even further emphasized to continue his so-called glorious evolution, to shepherd humanity to their next stage of evolution. The glorious evolution, which is what I would be saying if in the show he wasn't. Oh, okay, well, I got that. I guess I'll talk about the hex fragments later, because now, unless there's a big dragon fight happening over yonder, we can talk a bit about Viktor's design, because it's kind of a hot topic of debate, especially compared to the current design that he has for the rework. So before I do mention the specifics of what I think about Viktor's old design, I do want to say I think it is incredibly funny about what's happening to him. Because, like, is this really the pinnacle of character design? I don't think it is, but it's the same thing with Skarner. As soon as he got reworked, all these people came out of the woodwork like, how could you destroy our beloved Crystal Scorpion? And all I could think was, where were you guys? I just find it funny that this character had been forgotten by pretty much everybody, both Viktor and Skarner. Suddenly, now that they're being changed, everyone loves their old design out of nowhere. Oh, no. Again, I think I find the whole thing funny, because if they were changing a character like Fiddlesticks, or Samira or Akali or Nunu, I'd be like, yeah, of course, it seems. Why would they be changing that character design? But for characters like Skarner and Viktor, like, well, are their designs really that great? And Viktor especially. I think Viktor, his own character design kind of betrays his own characterization. He wants to rid himself of human emotion, yet he's laughing and joking and getting angry. He wants to rid himself of human anatomy, and yet he just has the one arm, which is robotic. Why not the other one? He has a leg brace that implies he's injured. Isn't this whole thing trying to fix human weakness? Why wouldn't he just make a robot leg? And of course the mask. Why is he wearing a mask? In that way, he's merely just covering his humanity instead of actively replacing it, which that seems rather hypocritical.
Metal is perfection.
Oh, is it, Viktor? Because, yo, you're not really actually that metal. I mean, you look at Urgot. I think Urgot's more metallic than Viktor is. That's what I mean. Like, Viktor keeps talking about replace their flesh. You haven't done that to yourself, Viktor. You still have your face. You still have an arm. You still have both your legs. You still have your chest, assumedly. I don't really know about his chest. The whole robot parts of him don't even look like robotic parts. They just look like armor. The only really robotic part I think he has is the hand, which, funny thing about that, we have confirmation from the designer himself that they literally had no idea what his third arm would even do, and they kind of just decided to attach lasers to it, I assume because of Iron Man. Kind of just makes him look like he's wearing a suit of armor or an actual Iron Man suit. Oh my goodness, stop pinging me, Caitlyn Kiraman. I don't think there's even a moment in Arcane I actually met you. Shut up, Caitlyn Kiraman. This is gonna be lore accurate. Shut up. Lore accurate. That's kind of what I mean. I always understood the idea why people liked Viktor. This guy who's trying to purge all human emotion from himself, so he turned himself into a robot. That's fun, but he isn't. He's barely a robot. He's barely a cyborg. That's what I mean when I say his character design kind of betrays what his core philosophy is supposed to be. It just makes him look like a massive hypocrite. And he also doesn't really look like he belongs to Piltover or Zaun. He doesn't have that pristine figure that Piltover does, nor does he have the chem tech of Zaun. You could argue because he's doing his own thing, but he also exclusively uses Hextech in his designs, and also much of his work is about interacting with Chemtech. So I never really understood the love for Viktor's design, but I did understand the love for Viktor as a concept. I think that's why I'm not overly upset about removing the machine part of the Machine Herald, because the whole Herald idea, the glorious evolution, is what I thought was the most interesting part about Viktor. And thankfully, that seems to be the primary function of the rework, though again, we're just talking about old Viktor here. We'll talk about new Viktor at a later date. I just think if you're gonna do a design like Viktor, you gotta go full ham on it. Like I said, Urgot is more mechanical than Viktor is. Both arms should be cybernetic. You should have multiple robot arms, full robot legs, a full robot face. Full machine Viktor is actually kind of closer to what Viktor's whole character identity is supposed to be, although that skin doesn't look that great either. And maybe that's meta commentary. That's, oh, he believes in this glorious evolution, but he's not actually doing it to himself. Sure, I guess, but his whole character motivation is about this glorious evolution, and we've seen even in Legend of Runeterra now, the ballistic bot, that guy is a full-on robot. He just has his brain left. Oh yes, I bow to the, oh, I was still doing my ballistic bot voice. He still goes like, oh yes, they shall bow before great maker. Destruction engaged. Like, it's silly, comical nonsense. That doesn't help that Riot would constantly flip-flop between if Viktor's a good guy or a bad guy. One year, Viktor is just this, oh, I am a savior. I've had a bit of a weird past, but really I'm just trying to help people. I just want to make the people of Zaun's lives better. And then the next year, Viktor's a psychopathic, serial-killing warmonger who's just invading Piltover and taking people hostage and forcibly turning people into robots and making a giant fanatical cult. Like, what is this? What do you want him to be? Is he a villain or is he a misunderstood hero? That also made the whole, that's probably also why the whole Glorious Revolution never really made a lot of sense. But also because in the context of Piltover and Zaun, Viktor trying to replace people, and most of the people, he actually doesn't even replace their full bodies. He just replaces parts of them, like an arm or a leg or something. And that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense, but then that's commonplace without him. Again, Urgot, the whole idea of mechanical beings and cybernetic augmentations is rampant in Piltover, and especially Zaun already. This whole mechanized revolution is kind of going on without him. He's just helping to speed it up a little bit. Anyway, that's my thoughts about Viktor, lore and design. Probably not exactly the most popular opinion, especially in the wake of the VGU, but you know, you guys can let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something completely amazing about Viktor that I'm not getting. I like that he has a lot of lore, at least, you know, he did. It's all going away in place of Arcane. That kind of sucks. But if there's something I'm missing, if something that really ties into who he's supposed to be as the Machine Herald, the evolution mechanic, which this passive is not a great one, I feel. Oh, I missed. Shut up! Listen, I know Caitlyn became an absolute jerk of a fascist in the show. We don't need to roleplay as one. I still remember back in the day when the Hex Core was not a random passive thing you upgrade. I remember back when it was an actual purchasable item. Good times. Good times. I think it was back in like 2016, 2017. Whenever the big mage rework is and they changed him to having this whole stacking mechanic instead. I think you guys know me by now. I do like these stacking mechanics, which is why Viktor's is kind of... It leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Shut up! Because it's stacking with a ceiling. The only way you get stacks is by killing units, particularly minions, cannon minions, champions, all that stuff. But then once you've reached 300, oh, that's it. It's over. You've upgraded everything. Which, that's no fun. The whole point of stacking is that you can go infinite. I feel like I've made a horrible mistake by being here. Actually, I was a genius, just like Viktor Arcane. Oh, dear. Oh, I'm a genius, just like Viktor Arcane. I am the first of many. What does that mean? Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's the one thing I was disappointed by the rework. I was really hoping, as much as people rave about how clunky his W is or how weird his E is at first, I don't personally think that those are immense problems. I feel like anything, the Q is the weird one to me. Probably because the W of all passive slows now, it's a lot more effective. You're supposed to trap them in the big AoE stun, so I feel like it works. I think all of his abilities work in tandem with each other. I was just... Oh my, wait, that's not lore friendly. I like that in the rework when his ult kills someone, it grows in size and refreshes his cooldown. That's a further step of the evolution. I would have really liked if they had a second or even third evolution step and you get another 300 stacks, you can evolve each ability again. Kind of like how, you know, you have 3 points in your ultimate. Now you'd have 3 separate evolutions in your ult when you've evolved every other ability. So your Q gives what, the shield and movement speed? What if you evolve it a second time, it gains a sheen passive, or you evolve the laser a second time and it becomes longer? It'd probably be stupidly OP, but I'm just saying I love the idea of Viktor rapidly evolving over the course of the game. But as it stands right now, his ceiling is so finite. Usually you're done evolving before the 20-minute mark, and that's no fun. That's what I'm saying, Viktor. Like, you gotta embrace progress. You gotta keep changing and evolving and becoming stronger. Why do you stop becoming stronger after 20 minutes? I was really hoping they go in that direction more. I'm sad that they didn't, but at least I'm happy for the Viktor mains. Even if they don't like how he looks, at least he plays exactly the same as he used to, right? Maybe I just don't find his E as wonky as a lot of other people do because I use Smart Cat, or what's this thing? I don't know what this thing, when I have to like release the button for it to do anything, so I'm kind of used to having to press in the name my abilities. I don't know. Viktor, you'll be remembered fondly. However, I am very excited to see what becomes of you in the rework. 2 honors. I can honor the one person who didn't flame me, and Ivern. Perfect. Maybe I can fool him into thinking my level 780 account is actually a new player. I knew it. If anyone was going to be nice, it was going to be Morgana. That's very lore friendly. Thank you for watching this week's Casual Champion Review, everybody. I'll see you next week for Nautilus for real this time. Take care of yourselves and have a good weekend, all right? Goodbye.